Hello, good evening, Cinema Satsang viewers. How are you doing? Today we are going to start a brand new section on writers and books. Yes, because you might be wondering why books? Because the connection between literature and cinema cannot be undermined. Some of the great films have been made from wonderful and great books. So it's time we diversify into books as well because they are the foundations. Literature is sometimes the foundation on which good cinema is built, and we have many, many such examples. So today we have with us, hello, Lubna Yusuf, a writer, author, filmmaker, lawyer. She is a multi-talented multifaceted personality, and we are so happy and pleased to have you in Cinema Satsang.
Thank you so much, Kabir. The pleasure is all mine. I am very thrilled and very excited to be here and to talk about my book, Purpose of Flowers. And thank you so much for having me here.
Yes, and we are also very excited because your output has been prolific in the pandemic. You have not almost, but you have written 5 books. She has written 5 books and wonderful books. And I have read Purpose of Flowers, her first book, which is a beautiful, heartfelt rendition on pain, longing, and almost like a celebration of grief, but not despairing at all. So let me not talk further about a first book, Purpose of Flowers, which is a very beautiful book and of poetry. And let Lubna please tell us about your book, Purpose of Flowers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kabir, for such kind words and for so much warmth for my poetry and for my artwork. It really fills my heart with a lot of gratitude to be able to meet readers like you who can appreciate poetry and art at this time, especially in the pandemic. Yes, so I have written 5 books during this time, and it's not that the content was written all during this time. The content was written, it has been compiled over a period of some years. And what I did during this pandemic is that I made the content into books. I wrote more content. I made a lot of artwork, and then I made them into books. So the first book when I wrote, I was not, planning to make 5 books in the process, but it just so happened it was very organic, and here I am today in 2021, so with 5 books. But Purpose of Flowers was written in the beginning of the pandemic and launched sometime in June 2020. And only now that the prints have opened up, after a bit of an unlock here and there, so the book is available for everyone in paperback as well. But when it was released in Kindle, it really got a lot of love and warmth as well in the Kindle format as well. So that really gave me a lot of encouragement to go on pursuing, with my books and my artwork. So the very idea of writing poetry came to me several years ago, in fact. But to write microfiction and micro poetry was something that I thought of during the pandemic, because this is a time when we were looking for comfort and solace in short medium formats. And I thought, what better way to start my journey than with the haiku book of poems. Let me tell you something about what is a haiku. Because maybe some people might not be aware of what a haiku is actually. So it's very interesting because haiku poetry is something that we are, reading nowadays. But in fact, it has its origin from the 5th century Japan. In fact, if you look at literature and rhythm forms and lyrical poetry and song forms of Japan from the 5th century, we'll see that a particular syllabic form of poetry had evolved in the 5th century, and they had very interesting concepts. They were about celebration, about nature, about Buddhism, about everyday ordinary observations of life. So this is what
forms the basis of haiku poetry. And then of course tanka evolved, and then we have Matsubasho, who talked about, who actually introduced and brought the haiku form of poetry as we know it today. So haiku is nothing but a 3-line poem with a particular syllable structure, which can be broken down into 5, 7, 5. So the first line has 5 syllables, the second line has 7 syllables, and the third line again has 5 syllables. So it's a 5, 7, 5 syllabic structure. And it's very interesting because it's very, so to say, very sublime, and it does not really talk about a beginning or an end. So it is like an observation from nowhere, and it kind of is like an exclamation on an ordinary observation of life or nature or love or any emotion that you feel in the moment. So it is a very different style of writing, as well as it is a very interesting form to come across, because not only is it a poem, it is also like a lyric, short form of a lyric, and it does not have a beginning or an end, but it leaves you with its particular essence, and that is what makes a haiku poem very special.
And it's very
And
cinematic.
my book has, it's very cinematic.
Can you tell us the 3 lines, the famous 3 lines of the poet you mentioned, the haiku, if you can give an example?
I don't remember the lines of. It's about a frog jumping in a pond, in the water.
It's there in your book. It's there in your book.
Yes, I have mentioned it in my book, because that is something which really struck me when I read that, in just 3 lines I was able to visualize not only the frog and the pond, but also I could place myself directly into that situation. And now that
if you allow me, I can also. I have it open.
Yeah. Oh, you can go ahead. Otherwise, I have opened it. Yes.
Yes.
Please do the honors and read. Read.
No,
This is very interesting.
No, I just thought of giving an example to the for haiku that you talk about haiku.
Yes. So a very famous haiku by Basho is an old pond, a frog jumps in, the sound of water. So this is it. These are the 3 lines. Now you can see. Now, if we delve deeper into the lines and look at the syllable structure, you'll see an old pond, a frog jumps in, the sound of water. This itself brings us to that very moment when the frog jumps in the water and there's a sound, and you inherently place yourself in that peaceful setting, and that is the beauty
and magic of a haiku in 3 lines. Very cinematic, very visual. It has a lot of imagery. At the same time, there is no frill which is attached. There's nothing that you need to play with large words to bring yourself to some kind of a feeling or an emotion. So in very simple, ordinary way, you can convey your image to the common person, and he feels a kind of a comfort or a solace, or he feels himself inside the frame of the mind of that writer. You are transported or teleported, in fact, to another a place or a wonder, or a place or a feeling is so beautifully conveyed in just 3 lines. And that is the beauty of and the power of words, because words
your book
really
is
can take you.
Your book is like that. Your book transports us, and it's very visceral, and you can almost touch the words and the feelings which you are trying to express, the love, the pain, the anguish. You can almost touch and feel those things. So your book has that quality as well, that sublime quality.
That's a huge compliment.
And we are going to read out some sections from it so that the viewers get a glimpse of your poetry and your illustration.
Okay, let's go ahead. I would want you to read something which you like, probably. So the book is divided into 3 sections: love, contemporary, and life. And these are nothing but just an easy format for the readers to, segregate the poetry into 3 different zones, and nothing more, nothing less. Sometimes they overlap, obviously, but there's a particular section called contemporary, and that is written specially for today's millennial generation and how we are placed. And this was specially written so that we bring a classical haiku format
right into the modern set scenario, and then we look at the modern life of our virtual existence, how we are placed virtually, and we can find poetry in that. So that is a very unique section in the book. Other than that, there is a section on love and on life, and each poem has a line art illustration that I have drawn, which is an image which kind of represents the mood or the setting of the words, and they might not necessarily be about that particular poem, but it helps the readers to form an image or a visual, which takes you beyond the book.
So this is the attempt that I had.
Those are also very exquisite and wonderful line art, and which also adds a lot to the words and feelings. Because so your book is not just a one-time read, and it can be kept as a companion. Like once you read the words, the second time you see the line art, and it's like that. It's like an everyday read kind of a book. Whenever
yes, thank you. It was meant to
you
be.
feel these emotions which are there in the book, one can just pick it up, and as you said, we are all looking for a short solace at this time, and this book gives solace and makes you feel a lot of.
Yes. Thank you. I always feel that, books are like the friends that you never had, or a friend that you need, because a book should not be that, this is my personal opinion, that, a book should not be a one-time read. I think a book should be read several times to take you, and the book also travels with you, where you go, not only in time and place, but also in life. There are books that I go back to, that I must have read some years back, that I read them now, and they have a completely different effect on me sometimes. So books also become a kind of friend that you need to listen to sometimes, and books can talk and they can guide you, and sometimes they are just there to comfort you. And I always find myself in the company of books, and I find my peace and solace always in books. And through books I've met great writers and gone into their minds and the places they have traveled. They almost tasted the food that they are describing, cried with them, laughed with them, looked at life differently. So I think the entire journey of a book is
priceless. And when it comes to poetry, it's a very not only visual, but it's a very emotional journey. So I hope that Purpose of Flowers, is your companion in times of need, and also that you can relate to it in certain aspects as well. And especially that why did I name it Purpose of Flowers is because I love nature, and one of my most favorite things in the world is a pot of a plant, and when a flower blooms from it, I think it really makes my day, So when I have these little pots in my house and I water them and take care of them, and suddenly one day in the morning I wake up and I see a flower waiting for me, I think that feeling is just priceless. So during the and especially during the pandemic, I spent a lot of time in my pot garden, so it gave me a lot of comfort, a lot of positivity, as well as it added a lot of beautiful meaning to my life. And that's why I named my book Purpose of Flowers, because flowers also teach us that their purpose is to bloom and to wilt, and so is life. So nothing stays, but it stays with you. The entire, the meaning of this entire journey that we are going through. It's all nature. So what better way to start my book than to name it after flowers.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. And as you said, we go back to books and we also go back to films. So good books and good films can always offer you solace and can always be your companions in good or bad times. And Purpose of
Correct.
Flowers is one such book.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Tell me something, Lubna, like we have independent filmmakers. So you are kind of I think, independent writer. Your journey with publishing and how did you get yourself published? If you could tell us a little bit about that, that may help aspiring writers.
Yes, sure. So it was very interesting because I was thinking about getting published since the last 3 years after I completed my creative writing course. But traditional publishing generally takes a lot of time. The review process is more than sometimes 6 months to 1 or 2 years even sometimes. You might never end up getting, never end up hearing from the publishers as well. So it's a little tricky and dicey space. And when the pandemic struck and I realized that, now I cannot wait for, a traditional publishing house to, write back to me, and it will take another 1 or 2 years, and it was getting delayed, my books. And I came up with the idea that, that maybe I should go for self-publishing. But even in self-publishing, there are a lot of publishing houses where you can pay and get published, or but we have something called Amazon Kindle, and you can self-publish for free without paying anyone. But you need to be very good in editing in Microsoft Word, as well as your the formatting, and also you need to spend some time. Either you learn it and do it yourself, or you can hire someone to do it. So in my case, I did it all myself. I in fact, through the process of editing my book, I learned a lot. I did even a short course on formatting and this and that. So that was
Now that you talk about the course, just let me tell the viewers that Lubna has also done a writing course. She's a trained writer. So where did you do your course from?
So I did
What is the course?
I did take a creative writing course from Oxford University. In the middle of my legal career, I decided that I want to also write, because that is something that has always been one of my dreams, and I find it very fulfilling. And in these years of me practicing law, and in the journey that I have come forth so far, I always felt that there was something that that was lacking in me, maybe, or there was a gap that I want to fill by actually doing a proper course in writing. So in one of the wild times that we all face at one point in our lives, where we think that, oh my God, what if, so it was in one of my what if moments that I actually applied to do this course. And in fact, initially I had got rejected as well, but later, after writing and applying it for it again, I in fact landed at Oxford University, and I did a short creative writing course from there, and it really brushed up my skills, brought a lot of focus into my writing, into the way I was structuring my work, both fiction as well as non-fiction, and it has immensely helped me to bring me to form, and to be able to actually professionally come out with a book. That has only added to my love for writing.
You know Murakami's story, right? You know Murakami's story. Murakami is one of my favorite authors. Do you know his story?
Yes.
How he also had a what if moment, and he left everything and he started writing.
I'm sure. See, we all have our what if moments, our vulnerable times, our moments of weaknesses, our moment of doubt that we question our present, and we wonder, what are we doing with ourselves, and what if I did something that else with ourselves. This I have encountered not only in successful professionals, but in people from all walks of life. We are humans, we tend to wonder, what we are doing is what we are doing might seem successful. So when the pandemic struck, I did not want to wait for a traditional publishing house to write back to me, and then the whole process of editing, and this is a very time-taking process. By the time you submit your draft to the time your book actually gets published and printed and it comes to your hand, it might take something like a couple of years, some for a book to be traditionally published. So when the pandemic struck, I found myself, at a decision that that I did not want to wait anymore for my book to get published. So I decided that I should get it self-published. So I did a lot of research, and I found that Amazon Kindle had an option of publishing your book as an ebook. So even though I did not want to come up with an ebook initially, because I would always like a paperback, personally. But at that point of time, some printing press was also shut. Most of the printing press was shut. So what option did I have then, other than going for an e-publishing?
So I thought about it and I thought, why not? Because most of us are going through a change in our life. Okay, so people who were not spending time on the internet were also now online. And the world has somehow, the world had somehow now, shrunk into a virtual space. So I thought, why not, give it a try. So I did come up with my ebook, and to my, surprise, the ebook did really well. In spite of no promotions and me not really keen on going for an ebook initially.
It came
I
in
was
some kind of
completely
top 100 or something. I read somewhere. I read on your post.
yes. So later, so initially, I shared it on my website and on my Medium profile. So where I share most of my writings. Uh, and I got a lot of love and a lot of positive reviews and great response, from readers all across the globe, and that gave me a lot of courage, as well as a lot of motivation, for a first time writer, that okay, yeah, so here is my book, and I'm a nobody, and there are people who don't know me, but they are reading my work, and they are not only reading my work, they are buying my work, and they are loving my work. So it gave me a lot of encouragement, as well as a lot of motivation. And I thought that okay, so this is it. So I just continued writing, and I came up with more and more books. And I just made this entire journey into a as positively I could, I as positive as possible, because here I was with a lot of time at my hand. Then I had mm, my artworks, which was all over my head, and it was just my creativity was just overflowing during this entire time. Every day I was like a compulsive writer and an artist, because I was spending a lot of time in the house, and I'm sure everybody has felt it at this point of time during this last year that we've all been through, that we've spent a lot of time inwards and in contemplation, and gone through a lot of phases, including ups and downs. So I read somewhere that you need to channelize all your grief or all your problems into art. It kind of deviates you towards a path.
So all of us have faced this time, and we are still going through it. But not everybody can channelize their time and their inner uh, workings into so much productivity. That is what is remarkable, and that is what I love. That is what I admire in your this thing, that you have been so productive, and you've been able to make use of the time and channelize your energies. And
Thank you, thank you. Yes, I was very aware of this time that we had, and there were basically only two options: either to do nothing or to do everything. And I always want to choose the better of the worst. I have never stayed at home for such a long time and not traveled anywhere or not planned going somewhere. So for me, this time was very strange and very disorienting, if I can put it that way. And also, it was one of the first times in my life that I really did not know uh, where I will be going next and what I should be doing with myself. So when I was put into that position, I'm sure most of us were put into, or are rather in that position even now. I thought, what else can I do? I can't really travel, so I can virtually travel. So I got very bored of spending screen time. So I was reading a lot more than usual. Even though I read a lot, this last year I've read even more. And I tried to, travel through my thoughts. And that's where I started, channelizing my imagination into artwork and poetry, as well as other written works that I have been working on. And when I realized that I can in fact make my own book and put it in the market without waiting for a publisher, that's when I started speeding up my work, because that was exciting and I got good feedback. And finally, when I came up with a paperback this year, I have been blessed with very generous and very warm reviews, and I think I am truly grateful to each reader for giving so much depth and meaning to my words, because in fact we can come up with different words and we can come up with different poems, but when the interaction with readers becomes so deep, that is when your work gives you a lot of satisfaction. So this is something that Purpose of Flowers brought to me, and I hope my other books and other artworks also add value to readers everywhere, and I hope I can share more of my works with everyone in the coming year.
so the first section is on love, and I'm on number 5, Desert Amber. Night of winter last, we were but sugar and salt, wet desert amber. So very physical, as if you can touch. That is what I felt. Night of winter
Very
last, we were but sugar and salt, wet desert amber.
It's very interesting that you chose this one, because this is one of the very deep pieces, as well as they have a very physical quality to it. These words, sugar and salt and wet desert ember. So this was all about the color of the night. It has a particular quality. It's sugar and salt, and it comes from memories. Sometimes it evokes such strong memories that you can almost taste them, and it's also kind of a play on the words sugar and salt, like happiness and a little drop of tear. So something like that, that I was trying to convey through these words here. So it's very interesting that you came up with this in your first choice.
Yes, you were talking about line art for this particular.
Yeah, so if you look at this line art, it has a 360 quality to it as well. Like you can turn it from every angle and it will still convey a meaning. So this is a special line art in this poem particularly, where I'm trying to play with the word night of winter last, because it comes back.
Yeah, I got the line art. Now that you say it, I'm turning it around and I'm
Yeah.
getting more out of it.
Yes.
I laugh as you laugh. In this pretend happiness, we lie truthfully. Pretend happiness.
Yes, very true. You will see that, it's often also said that, people who laugh a lot or seemingly put on an act of happiness have a lot to hide. And this also comes from, somewhere I had read that Chaplin used to describe life as, if you look at it in close up, it's a tragedy, but if you look at it from a long shot, it's a comedy. So long shot it should be. It always inspires me, his words. When I interact with people, I notice this quality in people often, that of all the lies we tell, the loudest are the ones sometimes that we tell ourselves. This is what I was trying to portray here, that sometimes we pretend for the sake of so many stakes to be what we are not or who we are not, because we are afraid to even actually face our own reality. So we lie.
Yeah, so true.
Truthfully.
So true. 7 summers passed, 4 shall last me a lifetime, 3 stopped without you. Now, when I read this, I can't stop thinking of Gulzar Saab. It reminds me somehow of Gulzar Saab. 7 summers
Really?
passed, 4 shall last me a lifetime, 3 stopped without you.
So this is something.
I might be reading very fast. Yeah.
It is a story, like in a poem, about 7 years of 7 summers of lovers who haven't met. So the lovers keep count of the years they've been apart, and 4 of them, the initial 4 would last a lifetime, and after that time stopped. So it's 4 and 7, 4 and 3, 7. So that is a kind of a play of words, time and us. It also has an interesting. It also has an interesting line art where you see the sand glass, and there's a flower growing from it, and also on the other line of time there's a small flower bud. So it kind of is symbolic of time, that you need to grow your own flowers.
Your book.
Yes.
Last year I missed you, a similar kind, December to December.
Mhm.
This year is book 2.
So it's the entire year which seems to have clocked, and time has come to a standstill from December to December, and it seems that even now from December it's going to be the same. So it's a kind of a struggle, an internal conflict that every a lover faces when you're experiencing the grief of parting from your loved one, where you somehow count the years but they don't seem to move, and yet somehow time has passed.
June came before spring, long before our roses died, waiting for your call. Have you heard of this Bengali song Kobe Ashbe Tomar Telephone?
Yes.
Somehow this
Yes,
reminds me of that song.
So this is a kind of play on seasons. because sometimes seasons don't match our time in life. So here June comes before spring. Generally June comes after spring. It's the monsoon, the time of lovers to meet when the rain falls. But this time when the rains come, there is no spring. There was no spring. So it is a kind of a longing that this poem is talking about, in particular this year. That this year there was no rain, and still somehow the rain has come, but there was no spring. So even before the roses died, waiting for your call. So something like that. It talks about time being a vertical space, and that is what I have even drawn here in the book.
Autumn leaves in spring turn brown to green on their own. You leave and I breathe. This looks a bit positive to me. Like positive is a very, very not a correct word, but yeah, to describe it simply.
Every positive or a negative emotion stems from the same root. So it is how you perceive it to be. Here, there's also play in the word leaf. So from leaves. So here, first line talks about the leaves, as in the leaves of the plant, as in the season leaving. The first line talks about the season leaving, autumn leaves in spring. And then the second line talks about actually the leaves turning brown to green on their own, without using the word leaf. And then the third line is you leave and I breathe. So it is a kind of an interplay between words.
Very interesting. Both the leaves, but both have different meanings.
Yes.
Again, very physical on a lighter note. When I read this, locked in lonely nights, you taste of strawberry jam on warm buttered toast. So, after eating this, I really feel like felt like having strawberry jam and buttered toast.
Yes.
On a lighter note.
Yes, so this is a very mischievous kind of poem, and it is about lovers playing, or sometimes we enjoying tastes of different simple favorite foods that we have, and kind of it brings a memory in your mind. And sometimes when you're lonely, all you need is a hot buttered toast with a dollop of strawberry jam to make all the things in the world go right.
I often wonder
Yes.
how many times can we love if we do not count. Very profound this thing. I would say
Yes.
this haiku.
Right. I would not like to say much about it because I'm sure this haiku speaks for itself. But this is all about, the times that we've been taught that you can only love but once. But can we? And each love that we love, we feel that maybe the previous one was not love at all. And what we are going through now is actually love. And then we meet, then the heart breaks and we meet another love and we realize that this is actually in fact love. And what I had felt before, it was everything that was not love. So, or the times that you have been in love, there have been sometimes less, sometimes more, and incomplete love also is love. So how many times can you be in love, before you can count that it was actually love? So it's a retrospective question. We ask ourselves sometimes, about what exactly is love.
Contemporary, बहुत मजेदार सेक्शन है. और virtualism. This virtual world, I kiss my phone for your lips in emotions.
Emoticons.
Emoticons, sorry.
Yes.
And I'm so anti-trend. These apps, tags, likes, taps, and that zap, delete them all.
Yes. So one fine day, I was so tired of just, my smartphone, which has not made me so smart. You just move from one app to the other, and then you tap, and then you like, and you share, and comment, and subscribe, and you're doing all kinds of things. It's just draining you out, and you're actually doing nothing. In fact, so you want to just delete them and just be. So one day what I did was I just removed each and every app from my phone, and I was just heaving a sigh of relief, and I realized that, oh my god, in fact I have done nothing in the past 1 hour, and I'm so tired, so I should just delete everything. So this comes directly from that moment that I am anti-trend. I am a kind of so not trendy. In the era of influencers, I am not an influencer. I don't want to be also. With all due respect to all influencers, but I don't see myself doing that. Yeah, so I am kind of anti-trend.
Yeah, you summed it up well. Swipe right, like, repeat, TikTok, blog, hashtag move on, millennial love.
Yes, I look at the affairs these days, virtual affairs. You're having an affair, one affair in every window, on some dating app, or on some social networking site, or on some video calls. You are sending all kinds of heart emoticons, and you're sending hug emojis. You are flirting online. You're breaking hearts online. I mean, what is it exactly this generation is doing? I cannot identify myself with such things, but at the same time very amused by this millennial love, where you are in love with so many but actually with none. And then we talk about self-love, or I don't know, what is it?
That reminds me of the film Her. Have you seen Her?
Yes, of course, I have seen Her. It's a very profound film. I love the film. But yes, we are very close to that. But here I was talking about, multi-dating. People are swiping left, right. They don't even care who are they swiping right or left. As long as, it's just whoever comes in. This is a trend, I've seen these days, that people are just, so casual about them. Okay, that's cool. Or what? I don't know.
In Her, this app was talking to so many people at the same time, and it was really devastating.
Yeah, it was a very interesting take, but that was a completely different situation. But yes, I do understand the correlation that you have drawn from that. Yeah, because we are kind of getting emotionally attached to inanimate objects, and now the virtual space. So we are already, emotionally attached to these apps. Like if you delete a lot of apps, or we don't get likes or shares, or we feel sad. We somehow have forgotten that these are just apps made to make money, and their founders are collecting data and making money out of our emotions. And we don't I know so many people who just want to leave their jobs or travel just to take pictures and put it on a social networking site to get some likes. So I don't know how far we have to come to draw a line, and where we need to put a full stop and have a reality check. But in this pandemic, things have even gone out of proportions, because now everybody has to be online in the virtual space. So this is another challenge for everybody, because even with these social distancing norms, we are only socializing on online. So
very challenging for me to.
Yes, me too.
Then you have to maintain it after a certain point. It's extra work.
Yes, but it's also but with the negatives come the positives. Look at us now on a virtual space recording this, and then our viewers will be seeing this on.
वो तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. ये तो बहुत अच्छा है.
So,
Think today, so I thought of not thinking what I must not think.
हाँ, ये काफी मेरे साथ होता है. कि मैं सिर्फ सोचती रहती हूँ. Sometimes I think all artists and all writers we all go through this phase where we think a lot and we don't really do anything. लेकिन हमारे दिमाग में वो कुछ ना कुछ चलता रहता है. फिर हम समझते हैं कि नहीं, हमें ज़्यादा सोचना नहीं चाहिए. तो खुद को एडवाइस भी दे देते हैं कि नहीं, ज़्यादा don't think about it. But then what should we think about? So there's this entire loop. We don't know how to come out of it. So this was something to tell myself. It's also kind of fun that I poked at my own thoughts. That look, I'm aware of it. That I'm thinking.
This is a very reflective book, and there are some poems, haikus on self-reflection, and there is a line art also where you or the girl or the character is looking in the mirror. And now number 58, this line art, is it the shape of the rains? The breeze turns around, seeing the clouds kiss the sky, it rains jealousy. Now, is it rain?
Yes, it is the shapes and the memories that rainfall brings, When and also sometimes I like to look at the raindrops fall on the window glass, and then you draw these shapes on them, and sometimes you just draw them virtually from your memories, and they take forms and you play around. Rainfall is always very reflective. If you sit and watch the raindrops and you look at it from behind a screen, so it's very entertaining also to watch these raindrops draw sometimes for you. So sometimes I don't draw and let the raindrops draw for me, and this is something that I imagine the rains drawing for me.
Number 66, if past meets present, would it be a quarantine without memories? Now, I wanted to talk to you, just mention a film. Have you seen 2046 by Wong Kar-wai?
No.
But so in that film, what happens is it's called 2046, and it was made a number of years back. So it's like a futuristic film. And so there is a train which goes to 2046.
Achha.
And that train goes to a place where our memories are stored, something like that, where to people want to go back to their memories. They take a train and they go there, and then they don't want to come back. So it's something like that. I don't exactly remember now, but reading this, reminded me of that film. If past meets present, would it be a quarantine without memories? So something related with memory.
Yes, very interesting that you talk about that, because even though I have not watched the film, this is what I kind of meant by these lines. If past meets present, it is a kind of, a reflection of me recollecting my own memories and, bringing myself to the present, by meeting myself from some other timeline, and would I want to meet myself with memories or without it? Would I want to travel to those memories? So it is a kind of a self-reflection that I played. Similarly, in the line art, you will see that it's the same, reflection that I've been, drawing about. That you meet yourself, you see a part of yourself, and then you unsee certain things in you, with or without memories. So this is what I was talking about in number 66. Very interesting choice of poetry.
Yeah, it reminded me of Wong Kar-wai's film about memories. And
wow, so cinema is directly connected to poems.
yes,
No, but that's a good one. I'll surely watch the film.
Watch the film. And you also tackled death. Leaves paint in autumn. Do not be afraid of death. Life completes when ends. Number 70.
Yes. So, what is life if there was no death? So I think every time that we think about ourselves, we should always be aware that this too will not only pass, this too will end. And we need to embrace that death into our present, not in a negative way, but in a awareness, because it adds more meaning to the years that we have in front of us. So I don't fear death, and I would want us and our readers to embrace this natural form in a positive way, and so it will add more meaning to our days. Leaves paint in autumn. So like nature, leaves are the most beautiful in autumn, just before they die, before they shed. So our lives also should be more beautiful with each passing year. So this is a kind of that positive connection with nature that I'm talking about in terms of death, but in a positive form.
Yeah, and you end your book on a very positive note. I feel you end on hope and dream some more before it is time to sleep. Enjoy the flowers.
Yes, of course. So just like the beauty of flowers, flowers remind us that we bloom, and the purpose of flower is not in its bloom, but it will wilt also. So is the purpose of life. And so we must hope and dream some more before it is time to sleep. We must always enjoy the flowers. So I feel that we should always live the life and not, wait to live for a tomorrow. Sometimes I've seen that, we save things for a better day. A favorite dress to wear on a special occasion, or, to do something on a special date. But I feel that why should we wait, for something which may or may not happen? Why not we live in the now and celebrate that a little bit more, enjoy the flowers while they last, So this is what I want us to, be aware of. And especially in the pandemic, this is something that I have learned and relearned and made myself aware of even more, that everything is in the now. And life is so unpredictable and transient that we must enjoy the flowers now. So this is how I would like the readers to, close the book and take this with them, that no matter what, you have, what you have. So you make the best of it.
Yeah, let's hope we make the best of our lives. And also, it's a wonderful book and wonderful having you
Thank you.
and talk
Thank
about
you so much.
great book. And people should
Thank
people
you.
can buy it if they like the trailer kind of a thing. Yeah, but of course, this conversation is a trailer of the book. It's basically it's the tip of the iceberg. And I think your next book is also out on pause. Do you like to tell us
Yes.
something about it? Or is
Yes.
it with you? Is the copy with you right now? Is it with you?
Yes, in fact, I have a copy of my next book, and I have named it Unpause,
because all of us and our lives have somehow paused, during this particular time of the pandemic. And now we know that this is not going away too soon, and we have to find out ways to, fight it and find our, way out of it. So I feel that this is the time that we must unpause from the slumber. And this book is about a lot of hope and positivity, and all the things that life has to offer. So this is a very different book in that context. And I have a copy with me. It's called Unpause, and you can see a person cycling in the lifeline. So this is how I would want to leave the readers with a little preview of my book. It is also based on the rhetorical number 12, and it is about colors and elements and the circle of life. That's the theme of the book. The theme of the book is based on the number 12, and it also happens to be India's first book of cinquain poetry. So Purpose of Flowers was a book of haiku poems, and Unpause is a book of cinquain poetry like haiku. It's also a syllable based form of poems in 5 lines, and the syllables structure is 2, 4, 6, 8 and 2. So that makes a cinquain. So this is also a structural format of poetry, and it's called cinquain, and I hope that you will like this book as well. So
Yeah, I'm
if
looking
you
forward to reading it.
yes, if you happen to like micro poetry or poems with art, so this also has color art illustrations, and this is available on Amazon as well, in Kindle as well as in paperback format. So I really look forward to hearing your feedback, your critique, your thoughts on the book, as well. And if possible, you can write to me and we can have a discussion on what you felt about the book. So I really hope that the readers are introduced to new form of poetry, as well as they can enjoy this kind of line art and micro poetry through my books.
Yes, thank you so much, Lubna Yusuf. It was wonderful having you and for this wonderful interview. And I'm very happy that you came and you talked about your book, and we could start a section on books and authors. And as we spoke earlier, books have a deep connection to cinema. So,
Yeah.
all the best to you, and looking forward to reading all your books. And I hope many, many, many people read and enjoy your books as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kabir, and thank you so much for this wonderful venture, and for your Cinema Satsang platform that has all these new ideas of connecting viewers with all kinds of interesting formats, and to bring us creatives together in such a beautiful fashion. I really wish this channel and platform to grow, and I wish that Cinema Satsang has great viewership and interesting viewers to connect on such meaningful topics like cinema, art, poetry, books, because after all these are the things that save us from everything. So I really am very glad to be associated with this platform and to present my books in such a manner with you. So thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for all your kind words and for so much support for a new author like me. Thank you.
For more interesting content on cinema and books, please like, share and subscribe to YouTube channel Cinema Satsang.